Welcome to War Bios, the podcast where we delve into the most pivotal battles in history, examining the strategic decisions, tactical innovations, and human costs that shape the course of warfare. I'm your host, General Biography, and today we're going to explore one of the most decisive battles of the Napoleonic Wars, the Battle of Vitoria. In the early 19th century, the Iberian Peninsula was ablaze with conflict as Napoleon's armies clashed with Spanish, British, and Portuguese forces. The region's rugged terrain, from the snow-capped Pyrenees to the scorching plains of Andalusia, played a significant role in shaping the war. It was amidst this tumultuous backdrop that the Battle of Vitoria would unfold, a battle that would mark a major turning point in the war and pave the way for the ultimate defeat of Napoleon's forces in Europe. The seeds of this conflict were sown in 1807, when Napoleon and Spanish King Charles IV signed the Treaty of Fontainebleau, which allowed French troops to pass through Spanish territory to invade Portugal. However, Napoleon soon turned against his ally, and in 1808 he deposed Charles IV and installed his own brother, Joseph Bonaparte, as the new King of Spain. This move sparked a widespread nationalist uprising across Spain, with many Spaniards refusing to recognize Joseph's authority. As the Spanish resistance gained momentum, the British saw an opportunity to undermine Napoleon's ambitions and protect their own strategic interests. In 1808, a British army led by General Sir Arthur Wellesley, later known as the Duke of Wellington, landed in Portugal and began to drive the French out of the Iberian Peninsula. Over the next few years, Wellington's forces, aided by their Spanish and Portuguese allies, won several key victories against the French, including the Battle of Vimiero in 1808 and the Battle of Talavera in 1809. The year 1812 proved to be a significant turning point in the war, as Wellington's coalition forces began to gain momentum against the French. The British victory at the Battle of Salamanca, fought on July 22, 1812, marked a major defeat for the French and paved the way for Wellington's advance into northern Spain. As the British and their allies pushed deeper into Spanish territory, they faced numerous challenges, including treacherous terrain, scarce supplies, and a resilient enemy. The city of Vitoria, located in the Basque region of northern Spain, was a crucial strategic location as it controlled access to the province of Biscay and the French border. In the spring of 1813, Wellington's forces began their march towards Vitoria, intent on defeating the French armies and driving them out of Spain. On June 21, 1813, the armies of British General Sir Arthur Wellesley, later known as the Duke of Wellington, and French Marshal Jean-Baptiste Jourdan clashed on the outskirts of Vitoria in the Basque region of northern Spain. This epic battle would decide the fate of the Iberian Peninsula and pave the way for the ultimate defeat of Napoleon's forces in Europe. As the two armies faced off, Wellington's forces were bolstered by their Spanish and Portuguese allies, who had grown increasingly frustrated with French rule. Meanwhile, Jourdan's army, numbering around 60,000 troops, was determined to hold its ground and protect the French Empire's interests in Spain. The battle itself was a masterclass in tactical innovation, as Wellington's forces employed a clever strategy to outmaneuver the French. The British general divided his army into 4 columns, each tasked with attacking the French lines at different points. This bold plan allowed Wellington to exploit the weaknesses in the French defenses and catch Jourdan off guard. As the battle raged on, the French lines began to waver, and eventually they were forced to retreat. One of the most significant factors that contributed to the British victory was the clever use of terrain. Wellington's forces made excellent use of the rugged landscape around Vitoria, employing tactics such as skirmishing and sniping to weaken the French lines before launching a full-scale assault. The French, on the other hand, were hindered by their own overconfidence and underestimation of the British capabilities. As the dust settled on the battlefield, it became clear that the Battle of Vitoria had been a resounding success for Wellington's forces. The French had suffered heavy casualties, with estimates suggesting that between 5,000 to 7,000 soldiers were killed or wounded. In contrast, the British and their allies had lost around 3,500 men. This decisive victory marked a major turning point in the war, as it paved the way for the expulsion of French forces from Spain and ultimately contributed to Napoleon's downfall. the defeat of French forces in Spain marked the beginning of the end of Napoleon's empire, and it paved the way for a new era of European politics. The decisive victory of British General Sir Arthur Wellesley, later known as the Duke of Wellington, over French Marshal Jean-Baptiste Jourdan marked a significant turning point in the Napoleonic Wars, paving the way for the expulsion of French forces from Spain and ultimately contributing to Napoleon's downfall. In the aftermath of the Battle of Vitoria, the French army was forced to retreat from Spain, leaving behind a legacy of devastation and discontent. The Spanish people, who had grown weary of French rule, welcomed the British and their allies as liberators, and the country began to rebuild and reassert its independence. The victory at Vitoria also marked a significant shift in the balance of power in Europe as the coalition against Napoleon gained momentum and the French Empire began to crumble. As the news of the Battle of Vitoria spread throughout Europe, it was met with jubilation and relief. The British government, led by Prime Minister Robert Jenkinson, 2nd Earl of Liverpool, hailed Wellington's victory as a major triumph, and the general was showered with praise and accolades. The victory also had significant implications for the European coalition against Napoleon, as it emboldened other nations to join the fight against the French Empire. The battle would also serve as a catalyst for the eventual defeat of Napoleon at the Battle of Waterloo in 1815, marking the end of the French Empire and the beginning of a new era of European politics. Today, the Battle of Vitoria is remembered as a pivotal moment in history, one that shaped the course of European politics and cemented Britain's position as a major world power. The battle is commemorated in numerous monuments and memorials throughout Spain and the UK, serving as a reminder of the bravery and sacrifice of the soldiers who fought and died on both sides. The battle marked a significant shift in the balance of power in Europe, paved the way for the eventual defeat of Napoleon, and cemented Britain's position as a major world power. In the words of historian Charles Oman, the Battle of Vitoria was one of the most important battles of the 19th century, and its consequences were felt for generations to come. This sentiment is echoed by historians to this day, who recognize the Battle of Vitoria as a defining moment in the Napoleonic Wars, one that would shape the course of European history for centuries to come. We also hope that you have been inspired by the bravery and sacrifice of the soldiers who fought and died on both sides, and that you will continue to explore and learn about this fascinating period in history. That's all for today's War Bios. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, I'm General Biography, reminding you to keep marching toward victory.